everyone. Thanks for joining us today as we discuss turning those everyday bookkeeping tasks into advisory services. No matter where you are on your advisory journey, from just starting to running a team of bookkeepers, we hope to help you see and take the advisory opportunities that are available to you. I'm excited to be joined today by two amazing people who I had the privilege of meeting during my time on the Intuit's Accountants Council. Amy, why don't you start us off with introductions?
Yes, hello everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amy Walker from beautiful, technologically progressive Houston, Texas, founder of Walker Agency. We help small businesses, specifically tech startups, with their outsourced accounting. Beth?
Hi, my name is Beth Melcher. I am owner and founder of MoneyFit, a small business financial consulting group in Traverse City, Michigan, practically the other end of the world from Miss Amy Walker in Houston, Texas. Just a quick insight on the way we're going to format things today. We've got a lot of folks out there, a lot of viewers watching us, and we want to provide good takeaways no matter what your experience level. So we're going to, when we cover our topics, we're going to cover them from a good, better, best strategy. Jacob, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jacob Schrader, CEO and founder of Ascend Consulting in Bellefontaine, Ohio. We're an advisory first firm that deals across industries, mostly with multiple business owners. As we dive right in today, let's start with those most basic bookkeeping functions, accounts payable and receivable. Amy, as you're processing the bills for your clients or recording payments against their accounts receivable, what kind of advisory opportunities do you look for?
So Jacob, thank you for teeing us up for our first section. If you are nervous to begin advisory services, here's one where you can dip your toe in the water, have some success, and build some confidence. Your client might not know the difference between a balance sheet and a profit and loss, a debit or a credit, but there is one thing that they all know, and it's cash. And they're all very interested to know how much cash they have to run their business. So most small business owners will go dial up their bank account or pull it up on their phone, and they think balance that they see in the bank is what they have to spend. My mother used to say, just because there's checks in the checkbook doesn't mean there's money in the bank. So you need to provide them, which you already have at your fingertips, the book balance, because sometimes there can be a big difference. So using the tasks that you already do every week, updating the bank feeds, posting bills, sending out invoices, you can prepare a very simple report. You can send it to your client every Monday that will give them a great idea of what they have to spend. Throughout our presentations today, we are going to be showing you templates. It is one file, it's a Google Sheet that we'll provide you with the link to. You can download it, it's a freebie. But our first template that we want to share with you is a basic cash roll forward schedule. I know at our company, for many of our clients, we start off the week with this. We go in, we make sure the books are updated, we fill out this cash roll forward schedule for them, and it gives them an idea of what's going on in their business. And it also lets them provide information to you so you can all be on the same page with your cash balance. It starts with your book balance for cash, week 0. You can do the schedule for 1 week, 4 weeks, as many as you want, but start simple. Do a few weeks out, teach it to your client, don't overwhelm them with the data, and then you'll be on your way to building off of this. After your cash balance, you start with your expected cash in. Are you going to have recurring revenue that's automatically deposited into the accounts? Do you have some AR collections that you expect to get in? After that comes cash out. We've got bills to pay, there's people to pay, you may have some sales tax to pay. Schedule all of those things out. Then you'll have control of the money flowing out the door as well. That net cash number is also called your cash burn. After you take that from your beginning balance, of course, you have your ending balance for the week. You can project this out with your client. When they see this in one simple template, they will know you're looking out for them, and will also give them a good feeling to know where their cash is going. Now you can take this to another level. This is the good part of the of advisory. This is a way to ease into it. But once you get comfortable and your client starts asking for more, Beth has got some ideas on how to take this schedule, put it on steroids, and really give your clients some meaty information.
So template on steroids. I don't know. maybe start just more detail for sure. First of all, I've got to just encourage you guys to go grow your bookkeeping friends network, because Jacob and Amy have helped me so much, not just with some of the basics of bookkeeping or accounting, but also gaining confidence and really knowing that what I do every day as a bookkeeper, because I'm not a CPA, but to know there's a ton of value in that. And I want you guys to feel that way too, because you're in the books in the flow in a way that your clients aren't. It may seem like a simple thing to manage cash flow, like it's just a matter of looking at your accounts payable and your accounts receivable and mapping it on a chart and sharing the details with your clients. But you're there, and they're selling, they're dealing with insurance agents, there's so much going on with them. Your expertise is extremely valuable. So part of what we want to share with you today is that you make that conversion in your mind, that you're not just tracking and reporting, but that you're truly conveying the message of what's going on inside the company. And doing that with confidence is super invaluable. So taking that spreadsheet that Amy had shared with you and then going a little bit deeper on it is going to power you up to your next level as an advisor. I'm going to peek at it over here. I'll keep coming back to you guys. But if you look at Craig's Landscaping and Design, and if you've done your QuickBooks Online certification, you're very familiar with that company. We've pushed out the cash flow to represent at least a month. That way, when we go through the recurring expenses and then some spending allowances for things that aren't technically AP and payroll, you get at least a month overview of things that are coming in and out of the cash flow. Let's peg this at the top. Starting operating cash, of course, start cash is a big deal. Make sure you've got that here. I review that with the client on site, or excuse me, during the meeting, because then we can also add in anticipated deposits. They may have a sense, especially if you're in accrual, what is going to be coming in cash, what clients they anticipate will be paying over the next few weeks, so you can rely on that cash. Or in the case of maybe running a POS, point of sale system, you could use maybe seasonal estimates for what the inbound cash is looking like. I will scroll from the top to the bottom. Recurring expenses, rent, things that are going to be hitting the cash flow, some spending allowances, debit cards, pretty basic categories, advertising, insurance. Your recurring payroll amounts, definitely going to want to have in there. Whether the payroll taxes are on impounded or coming out on a quarterly basis, make sure you include those as well. This is where we include in various vendors the AP, so check your accounts payable reporting, add that in, and also think about the items that are other cash demand. Maybe you're saving for taxes, maybe you're saving for winter, maybe you're saving for some additional owner draw or equipment. Put those line items in there too, and then calculate the starting operating cash plus the cash that is going to be coming in, the burden on your cash demand, money that's going out, and then your over under for the week. And look at these yellow areas where you've got some shortfalls in cash. Where you are going to be able to really add some additional value is Jacob's best strategy. This is when you convert from just reporting and anticipating into helping do some additional planning for cash demand. Jacob?
Yeah, thanks, Beth. And, Beth and Amy's spreadsheets there are really critical steps. And, they are the start of identifying if there's going to be a problem or not. And they are all around identifying and communicating that there is a problem to your clients. But really, if you want to be that best strategy, you have to go beyond telling your clients about a problem and start proposing solutions to them. And I think that's the next big step from where Beth and Amy were. So this comes down to, all right, we know we have a problem. What options do they have to solve that problem? We, as a company, we always start with our clients' cash conversion cycles. How long does it take for them to turn a sale into cash? How quickly do they have to pay their vendors? Can they extend those terms? Basically, are they operating as the bank for their clients by getting the cash from their clients before they have to pay their vendors? Or are they acting as the bank for their clients instead? So, where in an ideal situation, we can extend that out and let them hold on to cash and collect the money from their clients before they have to pay their vendors. So we start looking at that a lot, and how do we improve that is where we always start for our clients. Can we extend the terms of our AP out? Can we shorten the terms of our invoicing and collect cash faster? What kind of things can we use to do that? Now, once we've got cash conversion cycle completely improved or as best as we can, there's certain factors that are just going to limit it for different clients. So we know what those are. Many times there are still issues and there's still going to be cash shortfalls. So now we start looking at what are those other options and how can we gain cash to help improve their operation. These are things like invoice factoring for both AP and AR, credit card usage, lines of credit, equity fundraising, venture debt. Each of those things can be a tool, and there's a whole lot more of them. The important thing as an advisor is to start developing relationships with the partners who can provide these resources to your clients. That way, when there is a problem for your client, you have a solution that's ready to deploy. Because if you wait to start researching those until you have a problem, building that relationship is going to take way too much time to actually effectively implement that for your client. The other thing we talk a lot about here is, I run a team of bookkeepers. So it's really important if you have a team to build red flags in for your team members. So when they see something happening in a client, they raise the red flag to the appropriate advisor, whether that's you on your team, whether that's somebody in the outsourced CFO section of your company. No matter who that is in your company, that bookkeeper might not be the right person to address it from an advisory perspective, but they need to be able to recognize the red flags and really raise those issues so that they get dealt with and you can really help improve your clients.
So you've got your bookkeepers bringing you all this great information about what's going on in the files. You've got your own insights about maybe cash conversion strategies or getting a line of credit for your clients at the bank. Then what do? What is the best way to take all of the information that you've gathered either in Amy's spreadsheet or my spreadsheet or some of the conversations that you've had with your client about capital and cash conversion? How do you deliver that on a consistent basis? How do you connect with them to set up your ideas into a plan of action? Well, we have an idea called a standing meeting, and Jacob's going to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so for our company, even in our most basic bookkeeping engagements, we believe that you should have a scheduled check-in with your client. This might only be quarterly, could even be weekly, right? But you should have a standing check-in with your client. If you're just crunching the data and emailing them a report and not checking in with them, then in the future, as automation comes, you have a large risk. So as you want to move this advisory, start with, at minimum, having a regular check-in with your clients. You can determine that time based upon the scope of the engagement, and there's different scopes there. Like we said, we have some that are quarterly all the way up to weekly, just depending on how often we engage with them. But that's a great starting point to do advisory services. In that meeting, communicating with your client and helping them understand the prior month financials as well as their trends and their opportunities to improve. Do the simple things. What's their gross margin trend? What's their labor trend? Talk to your client about those trends. Talk to them about how they can improve them. Many times there's stories beyond the numbers that they can bring context to where you can only see the numbers. So it's important to have discussions around those and not just say, hey, your gross margin slipping, it means X. It might not mean X. There might be a story behind that number. So make sure that you really engage with them and have discussions around them. The other really important thing that I talk about with these standing meetings is, don't wait until your numbers are perfect. Timeliness in these discussions is more important. And I always think of Greg Crabtree's quote here that good data timely is better than perfect data late. So just make sure you're very timely with it, or else the operational decisions you would make with it are too late.
Can I ask you guys a question? So sometimes I've bumped into clients who don't necessarily prioritize finance as the number one thing they want to meet about on a weekly basis. What can you do to kind of create some urgency around creating the meetings or getting them to carve out the time in their week to put this first? Like Jacob, Amy, what do you guys do?
This is always a hard thing, right? And this is where I say, what's the scope of that engagement? Maybe weekly isn't right for every client. And that's an important thing. I think so often we try to shoehorn people in and say, this is what's right for you. And maybe it is what's best. But frankly, if they're not going to engage, it's not what's best for them because it's a waste of your time and their time if they're not truly going to engage. So that's part of scoping and engagement is one thing. But then the other thing that we've had great impact with and getting them to engage more is really bringing that advisory services in there and making an impact on your client. So if you're just presenting data to them, what's the use, right? They feel like I can manage just as good from my bank account, which we've talked about before, may not be the best, right? But they feel like they can. So you really have to start bringing advice that makes them want to engage. And that is that transition to advisory services. At least that's how we do it. Amy, would love to get your take there.
So yeah, I agree with you, Jacob. I think you have to first, in all of these sections, you need to remember what is your scope with your client. This advice that you are giving them is valuable. So if you have somebody that just wants you to keep their books for tax compliance, okay, then that's what they get. But if you feel that client is looking for more, always asking you curious questions, put yourself in their shoes. What's important to them? They might not understand ratios from debits to credits, but they do understand how much cash they have left or if they can hire another person. So yeah, I think keep in mind your scope and the interest of your client. I mean, if they're not interested, don't waste your time, but then move right in. So say you do have somebody that's interested. I want to share with you today a meeting template that you can prepare. We actually stole this from one of our clients that implemented the EOS system in their company, Entrepreneurial Operating System, easy for me to say. But we adopted this, and before every meeting with a client and before every internal meeting, we fill out this template. So everybody that comes to the meeting can say, I know what I know what we're talking about. We're going to be efficient. And it also conveys that you respect the person's time. So we're going to jump over and show you this quick template. I always think, that old saying, out of sight, out of mind, by having this weekly check-in with your client or whatever, periodic check-in, you stay in front of them. You can't walk down the hall anymore. A lot of us aren't going to see clients. So the periodic check-in allows you to stay in front of them, stay relevant, also convey to them, hey, we're doing what you've engaged us to do. So here's a very simple template you can use. It starts with the people that are participating in the meeting, very straightforward. Action items we'll come back to. Then you get down into what is your actual agenda. Again, we use the same template for every meeting. Start with the human part, segue, don't just jump right into business, which is, I have a bad habit of doing that because I so don't want to waste people's time. I want to say, okay, this is what we're meeting about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but put people at ease, ask them about their mom and how the volleyball game went. And, if somebody got a new dog, let's see a picture of it, that kind of thing. It doesn't take long, but it goes a long way for you to maintain that remote virtual relationship with your client. The next section is headlines. Now, these are supposed to be FYIs, just things that you want your client to know, hey, I'm working on these, or hey, this is coming up. And then your client will leave things here for you as well. Now, the next part, you can see that is only scheduled for 5 minutes of the meeting. This is a 30-minute meeting template. The next part is the meat of your meeting. In the EOS system, where we stole this template from, this is called your IDS, Identify, Discuss, and Solve. And so these are the things that you really need to get into for your meeting that day. Maybe new items that need to be discussed, maybe some things that have been out there hanging out that you really need to focus on. So that's what this part of it is. The last part are your action items. As you're meeting with your client, start recording things that you agree that you will do. Who is responsible for what? And then finally, the way we like to end meetings, just to wrap things up in a kind of a tidy way, is we go through these action items, we kind of summarize very quickly what was discussed and what the deliverables are, and we listen as our client is talking for ways that we can help them, maybe things we can take off their plate, maybe things that we can share with them that we're seeing with our other clients that will make what they're trying to do a little bit easier. So we love this meeting template. Feel free to take it and customize it, use it for your meetings as well. Beth, I think you're going next. Is that right?
Yeah, yes, I am. And I
All
look
right.
forward to it. Thanks, Amy. So let's talk a little bit about an expanded client meeting. Your company, your client's company, it's a living, breathing entity, just like a plant or a child or a friend. And it is always talking to you. And the language it uses is the language of finance. And your job as a bookkeeper or an accountant is to translate what that company is saying into a language that the owner can understand. Now, my background, I'm an English literature major, French minor. My parents, when I was like a junior in college, said, you'll never get a job unless you study economics. So this is how I'm here in the financial world. But that language concept in the back of my mind has always been a part of what we do at my firm, and the relationship I try to help create between the company owner and the company. The company is dying to be heard, and it, like I said, expresses itself in the language of finance. And the more we can embed what the company is saying into the dashboard report that I'm going to share over here, the more you can help the company owner understand what the company is saying. So when you think about really stem to stern what your company is talking about, you're going to start with sales pipeline, what's going, what sales are out there for the company to be pulling in, the cash conversion that Jacob was talking about, converting your accounts receivable to cash. We're going to be talking about gross, your margins, your gross margin, your net margin. Let's get those bullet points as a part of this template that you review on a monthly basis or weekly basis. And there are other key metrics that you're going to want to cover. Think about expense categories. It could be payroll. It could be maybe facility expenses. It could be cost of goods sold or other administrative and sales expenses. There are stories month to month. There are stories year over year. There are stories actual to budget. Figure out which parts of the conversation that your company is having with its owner that are most important to embed in a spreadsheet. I'm not going to walk you through all the aspects of what's here. This is for you to look at later, but you can hear the company talking in a way your client can't. So also help your client, and this seems to be a big piece for us. We actually made this month balance sheet month for all of our clients. Walk your clients through the balance sheet. Everyone focuses a ton on what's going on with the P&L. Take the client one step deeper and understand balance sheet, maybe some current, like a current ratio or another leverage metric. Add those into your template. I've got some of these down here at the bottom, or maybe like month over month, year over year, leverage change or equity change in cash balances. A great place to look for this data, it's in the report section in QuickBooks Online. It's called the Performance Center. You can adjust that overview any way you like to pull up some of these metrics and add those to the spreadsheet. And we typically try to do this on a monthly basis with our clients.
In this last section, we want to challenge you to become the champion of your client's professional team. We live in an outsourced world. Many small businesses outsourced accounting, marketing, all kinds of things, development of their product even. So somebody needs to be looking out for your client, just like they were working with your client every day. As the role of an accounting advisor, you're sitting in a unique position because, as Beth mentioned, all those numbers tell a story. They weave threads, they tell the big picture. So we're going to challenge you to be authoritative, to go in with confidence, to present information to your client in a way that will help them run their business. Beth's going to start us off with some basic good approaches to doing this.
Thanks, Amy. You guys, it's so fun to be on this with you because usually we're just like chit-chatting about ERC or PPP, so being able to talk about some of the major strategy stuff as well. So ERC, which is, and PPP became a big deal this year. As a bookkeeper, I'm in the files with the client on a daily basis, and accounting issues would come up all the time. They get notifications from the state of Michigan or from the IRS, especially during COVID, a lot of notifications about programs that were available to them, but I don't have a tax background. So as important as it was for me to begin to address some of these issues with my clients, one of the best things I can do is realize the scope of my own skill set and to advise the client not directly about tax topics, but encourage them to go seek a professional. Just like your general doctor isn't going to be performing surgery for you. You're going to rely on that person to make an introduction or at least coordinate a team beyond just you. And so as we reach out and create larger teams, there are some more strategies that Jacob will share on how to do that best.
Yeah, I think the important thing is here, you have access to their books completely. So you can really start looking and being the champion of their professional team and say, where are they missing things that they should have? A perfect example that we look for in our clients is, hey, there's no insurance expense. Most businesses should have some sort of insurance. Am I an insurance agent? Am I going to say what type it is? No, not at all. But should I be the one saying, hey, I noticed you don't have insurance expense. It might be worthwhile talking to an insurance agent. Yes, that probably is my role as an advisor to say, you should at least have that conversation. You know, your client is looking at buying another company. Hey, we should probably bring a lawyer in to at least advise in this and make sure that the deal is structured in a way that makes sense, right? You know, am I the lawyer? No, I'm not practicing law. I don't have my law degree. But being as an advisor, I should be the one saying, you need to bring a lawyer in there. And this goes on and on, right? It's simple things like, hey, maybe you should bring in a marketing expert. Maybe we should bring in a financial advisor because we have a chunk of cash sitting here that is just sitting in the checking account, not earning anything. Should we have that invested? Should we be doing those things? I'm not the expert there once again, but I can be that champion for my client and say, hey, you need to bring in the pro. And that's the important thing to remember as you move into being an advisor. Your goal should be to help your client succeed. And this means calling out those items that are missing, even when they're not you. It's raising the red flag to your client, like this is an issue that needs addressed for you to be successful. You are an agent then of your client's success. And that should be your ultimate goal as an advisor, is to make sure your client is succeeding. And that means you're stepping into that role and saying, hey, we need to bring somebody in to help you in this area.
Hey, Jacob, can I ask you a question about that? So when you say to a client, I don't know, do you lose expertise in their eyes? Do you kind of move like, some people are shy about saying I don't know because they think they're supposed to know and that they fall in their client's esteem. What do you think about that?
I think it actually breeds a culture of trust by saying I don't know. Because if the client looks at you and you always have the answer and then you give them an answer and it doesn't work out, you just eroded all the trust. So by saying I don't know, my clients actually value me higher, because instead of me just saying I don't know, it's important to end the answer with I don't know, but I will go find out, right?
Yes, I will help you figure it out.
And that's the important thing, that I don't know, but I will go find out. Now just create a level of trust with that client, because now the client knows you will be honest with them. If you don't know an answer, you're going to say, I don't know, but you're also not just going to leave them hanging, right? And sometimes it is, I don't know, I'll go find out. Sometimes, I don't know, we should go pull in an expert on that, right? That's not my area of expertise. Let's go pull in the correct person there. So actually, I think the I don't know answer is probably the best and most powerful answer you have to getting your client to trust you and listen to what you have to say.
Okay.
I also think that we don't realize what a security blanket, what a comfort we are to our clients. And that if you would just, even though you don't know, if you'll offer to help them find a solution and sit in that meeting with them as a loyal set of ears, it goes so far. And you learn a lot of things in the process. I mean, then you can go recommend that same solution to another client.
Yeah. And, you know, even as a CPA and things, there's areas of that I don't get into. If you're going to claim R&D credits, we're going to go pull in an R&D expert, right? I just had somebody with foreign transactions. Well, we went and pulled in a CPA that specializes in foreign businesses, right, in the US. So it's not, I was fine saying, I don't know. Like, we need to go pull somebody in. And my client really trusts me because they know if I say I don't know, I don't know. And I'm not just giving them an answer. They also trust me when they ask me a question that I'll tell them an honest answer, right? Like, either I'm going to know it and give them the correct advice, or I'm going to say, I don't, we need to go pull somebody else in. So I really believe it breeds that culture of trust, and it's a big step to being advisors, to admitting what you don't know.
With all of this talk about advisory and stuff, sometimes we forget that you can't advise unless the basics are taken care of. So we want to end our presentation section before we jump into Q&A with like the Uber master checklist for all of you box checkers, because by nature, bookkeepers and accountants love to check things off a list. So to be a real champion of your client's back office, you can create this master checklist of all of their compliance requirements. You may not be the one actually doing that task, but you're looking out for them, making sure it gets done. At this point, we want to share our last spreadsheet off of the template. And again, this is a lot of stuff we're throwing at you, but if you love to keep a good checklist, if you are the person for your client that is in the back office, making sure everything gets done, this is a great way to keep it all organized. I want to tell you up front, we do this for maybe a third of our clients. If you're doing this, you better be charging big bucks for it. So keep that in mind as we present it to you. This is white glove service. It is a master checklist for the year of all of their compliance requirements. We start at the top. We've got federal filings, of course, with payroll. January is a crazy compliance month. It shows the due dates. It's got a little checkbox to make you feel good that you mark it off your list. We scroll down with more federal income tax filings based on the type of company they are. Sales tax filings. This may be one for one state. This may be for a lot of states. Again, payroll tax, state income tax, if that applies to you. Even throw on there your estimated tax payments because people like to conveniently forget about those and then ask Jacob, he's a tax CPA, they're crying in April. At the end, you may have an audit. Your client may be subject to an audit. Get that on the books, know when it's going to be for them. When does the tax CPA want their package done? You may have some obligations to the bank, maybe a borrowing-based report, something like that. Get it all on here. Share this calendar with the client. You're going to just by sharing a file, tell them we know what we're doing and we're really looking out for you. They can always pull this up to see that it's taken care of. And again, you will be the champion of your client's professional team.
And I mean, you can take this list and expand it as much as you want. Simple things that are great for you as well. You know, as you're doing cash flow planning, okay, you know, they pay their insurance bill annually and the renewal comes up once a year. It's a great thing on here. So now you can remind your client that they need to work with their insurance agent on the renewal because it's on here. But you also know that large lump sum payment is coming to roll back to Beth and Amy's cash flow templates that they showed at the beginning of this section. Mm-hmm. You know, these can be great reminders that, hey, I need to queue something up on that cash flow planning. So this can go as in-depth as you want, but obviously avoid, unless it's within the scope of you becoming their admin, of reminding them that, hey, you know, you need to do X, Y, and Z all the time. Now, granted, if your company is doing full back office support, which includes admin services, okay, then that's a different thing. But just don't go beyond that scope and devalue the work that you do by becoming their admin when that's not the scope of the service that you're doing. So
right. And Beth asked me when we were kind of talking about what we were going to say, she's like, where do you stop? When do you not put it on the list? And I guess my initial reaction is, if it doesn't have to do with a number, I'm not putting it on the list. If your hood in the kitchen needs an inspection, I'm not putting that on my list. But I think, yeah, keep in mind your boundaries, but also this will keep you organized so you can check things off and move on to your next task.
Can I ask you, I want to ask you a advisory question, because that word advisory is, like, when I first heard it, it almost seemed like a sage, like this wise, like, and I'd never be that, like that, you must really have to figure it a lot out. And so when we go through this whole thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's it. I mean, not that that's it and it's not valuable, but hey, I know this stuff. And I felt shy, like that, hey, I actually can provide a lot of value. I've got more of this under my belt than I realized. So this is advisory, right, guys?
I agree. Advisory will save the bookkeeping, staff accounting profession. With automation coming, take all of that work that the automation is doing for you and do something with it. You know what the numbers mean.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's going beyond the numbers, not just presenting them, but helping clients understand what they mean and how they impact their future. And that's the big thing about advisory, is it's taking the past and saying, what does this mean for the future? And how do we change the future based upon it, right? So yes, it is a step beyond simply presenting the financial statement back, right? But many times it's things that you're already considering. but now you need to formalize that and start presenting it to your client and really engaging your client. And advisory is a two-way conversation. And it cannot be you just regurgitating things to your client. No, advisory takes a discussion, because many times the story is beyond the numbers or as important as the numbers, but together is how you chart the future of a company.
I love that. That's so true.
As we're wrapping up our presentation for today, we want to just thank Intuit for having us. The three of us love working together, and we are happy to have had this time to spend with you. Don't forget, we've got a freebie for you with all of those templates that we walked through that you can download. Feel free to take it. It's our gift to you. Brand it, use it for your company, share it on social media, and please let us know if you have anything to add to it. We would love to learn from you as well. That ends our presentation for the day. Thank you so much and have a good day.